The grand archives of the galactic concordat held countless records of extinction events. Civilizations that had risen and fallen, species that had burned bright and faded into stardust. But archivist Valara had never seen anything like this. "Another colony gone dark," she whispered, her crystalline form dimming with distress as she processed the latest reports. "That's the 15th in 2 standard cycles." The holographic displays surrounding her workstation painted the vast archive chamber in a soft blue glow, each point of light representing a member world of the concordat. Where there had once been a dense cluster of lights in the Orion Spur, now only darkness remained. Valara's assistant, a young Morphean named Zix, floated nervously beside her. His gaseous form contracted and expanded with anxiety. "The High Council is convening an emergency session. They say it's unlike anything we've seen before." Valara manipulated the controls with her crystalline appendages, bringing up the last transmission from the latest fallen world. The footage was fragmentary, distorted, but what it showed made her core temperature drop several degrees. Massive shapes moved through the void, organic yet wrong, like living shadows that consumed light itself. The concordat's most advanced energy weapons splashed harmlessly against their surfaces. Their shields, capable of withstanding supernovas, crumpled like tissue paper before these entities. "They're calling them the Void Hunters," Zix said, his gaseous form taking on a darker hue. "No known weapons can harm them. No known defenses can stop them. The concordat's finest warships." He trailed off. Valara knew what he meant. The concordat had enjoyed 10,000 years of peace, their ships more like floating works of art than weapons of war. They had grown soft, comfortable in their technological superiority. But these creatures, they were something else entirely. "There might be one hope," Valara said slowly, her crystalline fingers dancing over the controls. "Something I found in the deepest archives, a record so old it predates the concordat itself." The holographic display shifted, showing a small, unremarkable solar system in an unfashionable spiral arm. The third planet was mostly blue, wrapped in white clouds and showing signs of heavy industrial development. "A quarantined world?" Zix asked, recognizing the warning markers surrounding the system. "Not just any quarantine. This is a Class X designation, the highest possible threat level. The species that evolved there." Valara brought up more data, ancient sensor readings that made Zix recoil in shock. "Impossible," he gasped. "No sapient species could evolve in those conditions. The gravity alone, 3 times standard," Valara confirmed. "Atmosphere thick with oxygen, a highly reactive gas. Extreme temperature variations, aggressive microorganisms, constant tectonic activity. They call it Earth." The display showed brief glimpses of the planet's dominant species, bipedal creatures with endoskeletons, warm-blooded, persistence predators who had evolved to chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. The early survey teams classified them as Deathworlders. Valara continued. "Their bodies can repair massive damage. They can survive radiation doses that would kill most species. They consume substances that would be lethal to us for pleasure. And most terrifying of all," she paused, her crystalline form flickering with unease. "What?" Zix pressed. "They never stopped fighting. Even when they achieved unity as a species, they maintained massive military forces, constantly preparing for war. The survey teams found evidence of weapons development that went far beyond anything needed for planetary defense." "But that was ages ago," Zix protested. "Surely by now." Valara brought up the latest long-range scans of the system. To casual observation, it appeared primitive. A handful of basic space stations, limited interplanetary travel, no sign of advanced technology. But Valara had spent centuries studying data patterns, and something about these readings bothered her. "They're too perfect," she said, "like a carefully constructed image. And look at these energy signatures." She highlighted several anomalous readings from the system's outer planets and asteroid belt. "You think they've been hiding their true capabilities. But why?" Because we taught them to, Vilera said softly. When we quarantined their system, labeled them too dangerous to join galactic society, we gave them every reason to conceal their development. And now, a priority alert flashed across her display. Another colony had gone dark. The Void Hunters were getting closer to the Concordev's core worlds. Now we need them, Zix realized. We need what they are, what their harsh world made them become. Vilera accessed the deepest level of the archives, retrieving a set of coordinates and frequencies so old they had almost been forgotten. The survey teams left behind emergency beacons, ways to contact Earth if we ever faced an extinction-level threat. No one ever thought we'd need to use them. She began composing the message, knowing that the fate of the Concordat, perhaps of all sapient life, now rested on the hope that humanity had maintained those ancient frequencies, that they would answer, that they would help, and most importantly, that they were everything the survey teams had feared they might become. "Send it," she ordered, her crystalline form pulsing with determination. "Send it now." Deep beneath the ice sheets of Antarctica, in a facility that didn't officially exist, Commander Sarah Chen stood before a wall of screens displaying a message humanity had spent 3 centuries preparing to receive. "Signal authenticity confirmed," reported Dr. Marcus Rivera, his dark eyes reflecting the dancing lines of alien text. "It matches the frequency and encryption patterns from the first contact archives." "This is real, Commander." Sarah absorbed this with the steady calm that had earned her command of Sanctuary Base Alpha. Around her, the command center hummed with activity as personnel moved with practiced precision. They had drilled for this moment countless times, but this was no drill. "Status of the Ghost Fleet?" she asked, her voice carrying across the vast underground chamber. "All ships reporting ready," answered Captain David O'Malley from his station. The gruff Irish accent couldn't hide his excitement. "The Saturn shipyards are beginning final activation sequences. Titan Base reports all crew pods are initiating wake-up procedures." On the screens, more data streamed in as humanity's hidden military infrastructure stirred to life. For 300 years, they had maintained the facade of a primitive planet-bound civilization. Their visible space program was deliberately inefficient, their satellites clunky and obvious. All while the real work happened in secret. "The Concordat's going to be in for quite a surprise," Marcus said with a slight smile. "They thought they were quarantining us. Instead, they gave us exactly what we needed: time and isolation to prepare." Sarah nodded, remembering her history lessons. The alien survey teams had seen humanity's potential for violence and recoiled in horror. They never understood that the same drive that made humans dangerous also made them incredibly capable of defending others. "Begin Phase 1 of Operation Sentinel," she ordered. "Wake up the deep space crews, bring the manufacturing centers online, and send word to the Council. It's time to drop the masquerade." Across the solar system, hidden facilities began to reveal themselves. Massive hangar doors opened in the sides of asteroids, revealing sleek warships that bore little resemblance to humanity's public space technology. Beneath the clouds of Jupiter, vast energy collection arrays powered up. In the Kuiper Belt, automated defense platforms switched from passive to active scanning. "Message from Lunar Command," reported Lieutenant Jessica Wong. "The first wave of heavy cruisers is powering up. Admiral Patel says the Artemis battle group can be ready for departure in 6 hours." Sarah studied the tactical display showing their fleet positions. The ships were ugly by Concordat standards. No gleaming crystal, no elegant curves. They were built like the predators humanity had evolved alongside, all armor and muscle and redundant systems. When one approach failed, they had 3 backups ready. "What about the new weapon systems?" she asked. "The ones based on the Concordat's own technology." Marcus brought up the test footage. "The quantum phase cannons are performing beyond expectations. By combining their energy weapon principles with our understanding of kinetic impacts, well, let's just say we've made some improvements to their designs. The command center's main screen showed a massive ship emerging from its asteroid dock. The HSS Hyperion, humanity's first true supercarrier, stretched nearly 3 kilometers from bow to stern. Its hull was covered in layers of regenerative armor, its interior honeycombed with redundant systems and backup bridges. "Beautiful, isn't she?" O'Malley said softly. "Like a great white shark made of titanium and spite." "Signal from the Council," Wong announced. "They're authorizing full disclosure. Our public satellites are being repositioned to reveal the Ghost Fleet. Let's see how the world handles learning that Space Force wasn't just a joke after all." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. The public rollout would be chaotic, but they had plans for that too. Humanity's leaders had spent generations preparing their people for this moment, seeding the idea through science fiction and entertainment. The truth had been hiding in plain sight all along. "Send the response to the Concordat," she ordered. "Keep it simple. Let them know we're coming, and we're bringing everything we've got." As the message was transmitted, Sarah thought about the long game humanity had played. 3 centuries of hiding their true capabilities, of building and preparing in secret. The Concordat had feared what humanity might become if left unchecked. They never considered that their fear might create exactly what they were trying to prevent. But they had also never faced an enemy they couldn't defeat. Sometimes it took a predator to catch a predator, and humanity had spent its entire evolution learning to be very, very good at hunting dangerous things. "All stations report ready," O'Malley announced. "The Ghost Fleet awaits your command." Sarah straightened, feeling the weight of history on her shoulders. "Send the order," she said. "Operation Sentinel is now active. It's time to show the galaxy what humanity can really do." The Concordat diplomatic vessel Starlight Serenity looked like a piece of abstract art next to the HSS Hyperion. Its crystalline spires and graceful curves made the human warship appear even more brutally functional by comparison. Captain Miguel Santos watched through the Hyperion's bridge viewport as the alien ship matched their position at the rendezvous point. "Their ship is beautiful," Lieutenant Emma Foster said from her tactical station. "Like a cathedral made of light." "And about as combat effective," Chief Engineer Raj Patel replied, his fingers dancing over his console as he analyzed the alien vessel. "No point defense systems, minimal armor, and their power distribution is completely exposed. One good hit would shatter it like glass." Miguel nodded, understanding both perspectives. The Concordat had evolved past the need for warships, or so they thought. Now that choice was coming back to haunt them. "Status of the fleet. Battle groups are in position," Emma reported. "The Artemis, Thor, and Shiva carrier groups are maintaining defensive formation. Support ships are running silent mode as requested." The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, showing no sign of the awe they must be feeling at humanity's first official contact with alien life. They had trained for this moment their entire careers, and it showed. "Incoming transmission from the Starlight Serenity," Communications Officer Chen Wei announced. They're requesting permission to dock, Captain." Miguel allowed himself a small smile. The aliens were already learning. "Grant permission. Direct them to Landing Bay 3. And notify Commander Chen that our guests are arriving." The Concordat delegation emerged from their shuttle like a collection of living artwork. The crystalline Vilera led them, her form refracting light in complex patterns. Behind her came representatives of a dozen alien species, some gaseous, some energy-based, some defying easy description. Sarah Chen met them in the landing bay, a honor guard of Marines standing at attention behind her. The contrast was striking. The aliens in their flowing robes and ornamental attire, the humans in their stark military uniforms. "Welcome aboard the Hyperion," Sarah said formally. "I'm Commander Chen, Fleet Operations Director. We have much to discuss." Vilera moved forward, her crystalline form pulsing with what might have been anxiety. "Commander, we were not prepared for this. Your ships, your technology, all our data suggested your species was centuries away from such achievements." "That was the idea," Sarah replied with a slight smile. You feared what we might become, so we showed you what you expected to see. But now isn't the time for recriminations. Tell us about these void hunters. The briefing room was designed to accommodate various alien physiologies, but the Concordat representatives still seemed uncomfortable. Their discomfort grew as they shared what they knew about the enemy, or rather, how little they knew. Our weapons pass right through them. A gaseous being named Zix explained, his form swirling with distress. Our shields fail when they approach. We've lost entire fleets trying to fight them. Show us the sensor data, Raj requested. As the aliens shared their recordings, he and his engineering team began analyzing the enemy's capabilities. Interesting. They're not actually immune to our weapons. They're shifting slightly out of phase with normal spacetime. Phase variance, Vilera asked, her crystalline structure brightening with interest. Exactly. Your energy weapons are too clean, too precise. They slip right through. But something more primitive. Raj brought up schematics of the Hyperion's main armament. A kinetic kill vehicle carrying a payload of quantum destabilized matter might have better luck. The aliens recoiled at the weapons displays. These are remarkably violent solutions, one of them observed. We come from a violent world, Sarah replied simply. Everything on Earth either evolved strong defenses or became someone else's dinner. We learned to be thorough. But your ships, Vilera said, studying the tactical displays. They're so heavily armored, so redundant. Surely the mass and energy requirements are worth it, Miguel interrupted, joining the conversation. When we built these ships, we assumed any enemy we faced would be more technologically advanced than us. So we designed them to take a beating and keep fighting. Multiple backup systems, compartmentalized sections, manual overrides for everything. They're not pretty, but they're hard to kill. The aliens digested this in silence. Their own ships were marvels of efficiency, every system optimized, every component serving multiple purposes. The human approach seemed crude in comparison, until you considered what they were up against. We've tracked the Void Hunters' attack pattern, Sarah said, bringing up a galactic map. They're methodical, moving from one star system to the next. But they've never encountered anything like our ships before. We think we can hurt them. The question is, are you willing to let us try? Vilera consulted with her fellow representatives, their communication taking place on frequencies the humans couldn't perceive. Finally, she turned back to Sarah. The Concordat grants you full authority to engage the enemy. But we have a request. Name it. Teach us, Vilera said simply. Show us how to fight again. We've forgotten so much during our long peace. Sarah smiled, but there was a predatory edge to it. Lesson 1 starts now. We've detected a Void Hunter force approaching the Proxima colony. Would you like to see how we hunt our prey? The aliens watched in fascination as the human fleet began to move. Ships slipped into formation with mechanical precision, each one knowing its role in the complex dance of combat. They had trained for this moment for generations. Now it was time to show the galaxy why Earth was called a death world, and why its children had become something both wonderful and terrible to behold. The void between stars was never truly empty, but now it writhed with unnatural darkness. Lieutenant Emma Foster watched from her tactical station as the Void Hunters approached. Massive shapes that seemed to drink in light itself, moving with a terrible purpose toward the Proxima colony. Multiple contacts, she reported, her voice steady despite the otherworldly sight. 5 major entities, accompanied by smaller constructs. They matched the Concordat's encounter data. Captain Santos nodded, his expression grim. On the bridge of the Hyperion, every crew member maintained their composure, though they were facing horrors that had broken entire alien fleets. Status of the battle groups. Thor and Shiva groups are in position, Commander Chen reported from her command station. Artemis Group is moving to cut off their retreat vector. All ships report weapons hot. The human fleet had arranged itself in a complex 3-dimensional pattern, looking chaotic to untrained eyes. but following a carefully planned strategy. The conquerors observers on the bridge watched in fascination as the supposedly primitive humans demonstrated the art of warfare they had spent centuries perfecting. They haven't reacted to our presence, Raj noted, studying the sensor readings. Their phase variance is steady. They don't see us as a threat. They're about to learn differently, Miguel said quietly. Execute Operation Kingfisher. The first phase of the attack began without warning. From the seemingly empty space around the Void Hunters, dozens of automated drones suddenly activated. They were simple machines by human standards, little more than engines and warheads, but they served their purpose. The Void Hunters reacted instantly, their otherworldly forms rippling as they prepared to phase shift. Exactly as planned. Phase shift detected, Emma called out, initiating synchronized strike. The real attack came from 3 directions at once. The Thor group's ships launched salvos of kinetic penetrators. Massive tungsten rods accelerated to relativistic speeds. The Shiva group fired their quantum destabilization cannons, weapons designed to disrupt the very fabric of spacetime. And from the Artemis group came waves of specially designed missiles, their warheads containing an exotic matter payload. The Void Hunters tried to phase shift away from the threat, but the drones had forced them to commit to a specific frequency. For the first time in their campaign of destruction, they found themselves trapped. Direct hits confirmed. Emma's voice rose with excitement. Target Alpha's phase field is destabilizing. They're taking actual damage. The bridge crew watched in satisfaction as their weapons found their mark. The Void Hunters weren't invincible after all. They had simply never faced an enemy that understood the fundamental principle of hunting. Force your prey into a position where its advantages become weaknesses. But the Void Hunters weren't finished. One of the massive entities turned toward the Hyperion, its form contorting in ways that hurt the human eye to observe. A beam of pure darkness lanced out, hitting the carrier squarely in the bow. The ship shuddered, but held together. Damage report, Miguel demanded. Outer armor layer is compromised, Raj reported calmly. Secondary and tertiary layers holding. Regenerative systems are responding. All critical systems protected by redundant shielding. They hit us with their primary weapon, Vilera whispered in awe. A single shot like that destroyed 3 of our largest vessels. We built these ships to take punishment, Sarah replied, her eyes fixed on the tactical display. Now watch how we dish it out. All ships, execute attack pattern Delta 7. The human fleet moved with practiced precision, adjusting their formation to compensate for the Void Hunters' counterattack. Ships that took damage rotated out of the line while fresh vessels moved in, maintaining constant pressure on the enemy. Their phase synchronization is failing, Emma reported. The quantum warheads are having an effect. Their smaller constructs are breaking formation. Press the advantage, Miguel ordered. Launch the Cerberus drones. A new wave of human weapons joined the battle, autonomous hunter-killer drones equipped with scaled-down versions of the fleet's primary weapons. They swarmed around the wounded Void Hunters, exploiting every weakness, every gap in their defenses. The aliens watched in amazement as humanity's technological sophistication revealed itself. These weren't the primitive weapons they had expected. This was bleeding-edge technology wrapped in deliberately brutal packaging. Target Alpha is breaking up, Emma announced. Confirmed kill on first enemy capital unit. Others are attempting to retreat, but Artemis Group has their exit vector covered. No escape, Sarah said firmly. We've spent too long preparing for this. Execute final phase of the operation. Show them why humans are apex predators. The battle reached its crescendo as the human fleet demonstrated the full range of their capabilities. Ships moved in perfect coordination, their weapons complementing each other in ways that showed centuries of tactical evolution. The Void Hunters, for the first time, found themselves on the defensive against prey that had become predator. When it was over, the Void was empty again. But now it was empty of threats. The Void Hunters had been completely destroyed. their mysterious technology reduced to scattered debris by humanity's relentless assault. Battle assessment complete, Emma reported. All primary targets eliminated. Minimal damage to our fleet. No casualties. The Proxima colony is secure. Velura's crystalline form pulsed with complex emotions. In all our history, she said slowly, no one has ever stood against the Void Hunters and won. Yet you made it look almost easy. Not easy, Miguel corrected her. We just understand something your people forgot long ago. Peace is precious, but it survives only because there are those willing to fight for it. He looked out at his fleet, at the ships bearing the scars of their first real combat. And humanity has never forgotten how to fight. 3 months after the Battle of Proxima, the grand chamber of the galactic conquerors hummed with anticipation. The crystalline spires of their central meeting hall had been modified to accommodate Earth's higher gravity requirements, a small but significant symbol of the changes sweeping through galactic society. Commander Sarah Chen stood before the assembled representatives of 1,000 worlds, her dress uniform stark against the organic architecture surrounding her. Behind her, Captain Santos and the command crew of the Hyperion represented humanity's military might, while teams of engineers led by Raj Patel demonstrated their technological innovations. The last of the Void Hunters have been eliminated, Sarah reported, her voice carrying clearly through the vast chamber. Their technology has been studied, their tactics understood, and their threat neutralized. The galaxy is safe. Velura, now serving as speaker for the conquerors, let her crystalline form pulse with colors of gratitude and relief. You have done more than save us, she said. You have taught us to save ourselves. The chamber's main display showed footage from recent battles, not just human ships, but conqueror vessels fighting alongside them. The aliens had proven to be quick studies, their natural creativity reawakening after millennia of peace. Their elegant ships now carried human-designed weapons, their advanced shields complemented by layers of physical armor. We propose a new role for humanity in the conqueror, Velura continued. Not as the dangerous species we once feared, but as teachers, protectors, guardians of the peace we all cherish. Sarah exchanged glances with her fellow officers. This was what they had spent centuries preparing for, though they hadn't known it at the time. We accept with conditions. She gestured, and Raj stepped forward with a holographic display of his own. The galaxy is vast, and threats like the Void Hunters may not be unique. We propose the establishment of a joint defense force, combining our different strengths, human tactical experience and defensive technologies, merged with conqueror innovations in energy manipulation and faster-than-light travel. The display showed new ship designs, elegant yet powerful, beautiful but lethal, vessels that represented the best of both civilizations. More than that, Sarah continued, we propose opening Earth's military academies to all species. Let us teach you not just how to fight, but when to fight, and more importantly, how to prevent war through strength and preparation. The chamber erupted in discussion, countless alien species communicating in their various ways. But there was no fear now in their reaction to humanity's martial nature. They had seen what that drive could accomplish when directed toward protection rather than conquest. There's something else, Miguel added, stepping forward. Something we discovered when analyzing the Void Hunters' remains. He nodded to Emma, who brought up new sensor data on the main display. They weren't natural entities. They were weapons, created by something else, something that may still be out there. A hush fell over the chamber as the implications sank in. The Void Hunters had been devastating enough as tools. What kind of civilization could have created them? All the more reason to stand together, Velura said firmly. To combine the conquerors' technology with Earth's strength and determination. Will you help us prepare as you have prepared yourselves? Sarah stood straight, feeling the weight of the moment. Humanity spent 3 centuries building in secret, waiting for a moment we weren't sure would ever come. We learned patience, determination, and the importance of being ready for anything. Now we can share those lessons. She looked out at the assembled representatives of galactic civilization, beings of crystal and gas, energy and matter, all united in their desire for peace and their recognition that peace must sometimes be defended. "We will help you build your fleets," she promised. "Train your crews, develop your defenses, and if something worse than the Void Hunters appears from the darkness between stars," she smiled, and there was something of Earth's predatory heritage in that expression. "They'll learn what we learned long ago on our little death world, that the most dangerous prey is the one that learns to hunt back." The chamber filled with sounds of agreement in 100 different forms. Outside, visible through the crystalline walls, Earth ships floated alongside concordat vessels in a combined fleet. They were no longer the hidden guardians of humanity, but the visible protectors of all sapient life. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, in the places between galaxies, something ancient stirred and took notice. Its weapons had failed, defeated by prey that had learned to become predators. But that only made the hunt more interesting. Humanity had spent 3 centuries preparing for threats they couldn't even imagine. Now, as they stepped onto the galactic stage and took up their role as guardians, those preparations would be tested in ways they never expected. They were ready. They had always been ready. After all, that's what humanity did best. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best, and never, ever back down from a fight worth fighting.